Each One Teach One is the title of this conversation, and this just gets into the value that comes and the beauty that comes of just the teaching and the learning experience. You can teach and learn from any given age, any given lived experience, and there's value and power in that. Who is Daryl Butler?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm learning as I go. Daryl Butler, I think, is a grounded, centered individual who has an appreciation for the role I play as a marketer, but also the role I play as a human. Right? There are functional things that I consider myself to be an expert at. That is the day-to-day work. But quite frankly, that doesn't matter if it doesn't translate. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about and working on how to translate what I know and what I do for others to benefit from.
Who is Suzanne French?
So Suzanne French is this little girl from New Orleans, Louisiana, who was often told she could not, no matter what it was. And now I know without a doubt I'm the same little girl who can. And I can do anything that I put my mind to. And I can sit at any table with anyone and have a dialogue. My mission in life is to build as I climb, right? As I go up, I want to know who's coming behind me and how am I helping to bring them along the way. My main fight in life is about fairness and justice. So if you ever hear my name, you'll probably hear those two words as well.
So who is Janine Banks? Janine Banks is who and where I'm from. My mother, Ethel Walker, she was orphaned as a kid when she was 9 years old, and she basically grew up on the streets and raised us in East New York, Brooklyn. I'm one of 8. And so as that person who heard on the television back in the early 80s that I lived in the most dangerous city in America, I was determined to be dangerous in my own way. And so fast forward to 2025, I'm still being dangerous.
I am a purpose-driven leader. I am a creative thinker and an artist. And I really appreciate this question because it's often hard to think about who you are without your orientation or your connection to other people. So I try really hard to think about the things that make me who I am and not what I would typically say, which is I'm Makai's mom and I'm Zach's wife. It's really a thought-provoking exercise to think about who you are without all of the people that you support and who you help. So those core things that make me me are about the fact that I believe I have a divine purpose on my life, and I'm an artist and a thinker and a curious person.
What is a lesson from your life that you will never forget?
The meta point is there are no guarantees. Build your house with a strong foundation. Understand that the things don't really matter. What matters is family. What matters is your walk in faith. What matters is having purpose. My worth, my value, my principles are really defined by doing what I'm doing right now. Being able to have these types of conversations, sharing something that might be of value to somebody in this room.
And the lesson that I learned was that all the currency or credibility that I had built was destroyed with 27 strokes of the keyboard. And so if there's a lesson that you could learn, it's harder to rebuild than it is to build. And when you are building, take a few minutes, take a deep breath, figure out what's next, and then send the appropriate email to the right folks at the right time.
But what that taught me is that if I'm at the table, occupy it, take up the space, and let my perspective be known. And
Trust, but verify. And I think the trust being first in that sentence is important because whatever you do, for all the things that I've done in my career, it's always been about building relationships with people, being open-hearted with people. And trust is required for relationships to develop. But verify is also critical because in order to build long-term relationships, you have to make sure that the people that you're in a relationship with are worthy of the time and attention that you have to put in. So that's something I've been a part of a lot of different partnerships, and I really got the trust part down, but I didn't get the verification part down, and that caused me trouble. So those two things together is something that is really critical to keep in mind as you're growing in your career, you're building partnerships, you're building relationships, making sure that you're doing your due diligence, but still keeping an open heart.
Yeah.